The last step that we are going to is actually is Bruce Hoffman. So Bruce should be here, and we are going to Gravers Lane Gallery, which is in the historic Chestnut Hill neighborhood. And here we will be greeted first by artist John Rais, I apologize, who is currently on exhibition. So I'm just going to play a very quick video of John's exhibition, which was wonderfully curated by Bruce. And then we'll be able to speak with the artist and then also hear about some of the exhibitions that have been not seen because of the coronavirus. So John, welcome. If you're here, can you unmute yourself? And I'm going to start this video. And if you have any comments you'd like to make as it goes through, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Hi, I'm assuming everyone can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the show is titled Connectivity, and it was something I've been thinking about for several years in my work. It was sort of like a secondary or tertiary theme that came into the work inadvertently. And certainly began thinking about it a lot more this year. And so I'm using different languages as inquiries as to creating connections between myself and others and society and different aspects like that. I find that furniture and furnishings to be a very disarming and inviting and intimate introduction to using different concepts. And I think that's what I really love about craft and making.
Yeah, thanks. And so now we can all see you. And I think that there was a few pieces that you wanted to talk about in particular. So, oh, by the way, I love your shirt. I just realized. So I think we're going to be talking about your, it's kind of like a bench first, and I think it might even be behind you at the moment.
I believe it is. I don't know if anyone can see it. Oh, maybe see the top of it there. That's a piece called, it's called Curious Intervention, and I've made a few of these raven pieces where they're holding these sort of charger cords, or I like to think they're ambiguous, but they're really not. They're fairly pronounced sort of charger cords, and I like this idea of ravens as a sort of stand-ins for humans or children, and using these things where they're finding man-made objects and interfacing with them and sort of figuring out what they can do with it and using them as toys. And in this case, this is a bench, and so it's like maybe a 3-seater. The first couple of ravens I made were drink stands, and that was sort of a whimsical thing I fit in between commissions, and then it sort of took off from there. So I started making a lot more of these ravens, and so they're all using relatively, I would say, conventional maybe, or hammering techniques. It's steel that's been forged and formed over anvils and wooden stumps and that kind of thing. And the charger cord is a 1-inch thick round bar, so it's very structural, and so it supports the rest of the bench. And the animal sort of cantilevered across the back and supported by the rod, the heavy rod. And so it's all hollow construction and pieced together. And I've done maybe 6 or 7 different ravens doing different things. I've done a few that are non-functional. But what I like about furniture is that it's by definition, it's a very human scale. And it's sort of like, furniture to me is sort of like figurative art that is around the body. It's like the negative space around the body. That's what I think about when I think of furniture.
And you also have these smaller sculptures.
Yeah, I wanted to make a few smaller pieces for the show. I had a commission about 2 years ago to make these they were plant stands for what the client was calling a Zen garden. It didn't follow any Zen rules, but that's another story. So I made these koi that were on the plant stands and like they were swimming, and it was done with this technique. And these are bronze that it was 2 sheets of bronze that are inflated using compressed air, and so it's all forged beforehand, and then it's inflated. And in this case, they have pacifiers in their mouths. And again, I was thinking more about like connectivity and connection, how koi rely on their owners / caretakers almost exclusively to survive, but they also can recognize their owners' faces. They often outlive their owners. They can live over 100 years. And so I just think it was this curious, fun thing to make these sort of archetypal pacifiers in their mouths. Oh, there's one right here, yeah. Oh, that's exactly that one right there. So,
yeah, that you actually
and can you tell us a little bit about you, John, and your background?
Sure, yeah. I was trained as a sculptor and blacksmith, undergrad in sculpture, Mass College of Art in Boston, graduate degree, and MFA from Cranbrook, studied under Gary Griffin. And I've been doing this full-time as a studio artist since 1998. I did a few years at Peters Valley Craft Center, and I've taught part-time at a number of different schools, most recently Moore College of Art. And I had my studio in northern New Jersey, and then it was in Massachusetts for 7 years. I keep sort of moving it to wherever I want to go because my clients tend to be all over the country and all over the world. So when I get kind of antsy, I just move to a new place. So although as I get older and I have more equipment, the last move was about 18,000 pounds. And I don't want to move again anytime soon. So I love Philadelphia. I moved to Philly in 2013. I'd always had clients here, friends here. Philadelphia just always felt like a great place for me to be. I'd done the Philadelphia Craft Show 5 or 6 times, and Philly Furniture Show and some things like that. So I just kept coming back to Philadelphia for different reasons. Taught at UArts for a few years, and I do a mix of architectural commissions and furniture, as well as other objects as well. And I like that mix. And there's different investigations with different types of work. And if I get a little, I don't know, maybe an itch for something different, then I enjoy doing the architectural work because it's a different kind of investigation as opposed to maybe the speculative work that goes into galleries. And so that sort of feeds that whole thing. Yeah.
Thank you, John. And so your exhibition at Gravers Lane is up until, it just went up, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of went up slowly because of the COVID. We were sort of putting a few pieces in here and there, but I think it's up to the end of August.
Yes.
Through the end of August. And it's open, well, now it's open, to the public. I think there's certainly limits as to how many people can come in the gallery at once. And we might put together a couple of sort of small micro openings, but it'll be up through August, and then there'll be work here after that. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Well, can we invite maybe Bruce to hop on and tell us about some of the other things going on? Actually, I think we can kind of see Bruce in the mirror there.
Hey, I'm gonna actually pick up the computer for a second because we had a bit of an issue with the video, and I'm gonna just pan the gallery if I can a little bit. So can you see this? So this is what we were gonna be showing you. And I'm doing this ironically because between Helen, Clara, and all my friends, you're gonna see some old friends here, from the Wendy Mariama to incredible Yvonne Bobowitz hanging on back there. The things just go on forever. And I could babble and babble. And Helen mentioned Hadler Rodriguez. I have all of these wonderful, wonderful memories of some of the people. Hadler Rodriguez, if anyone has a Jackie Rais tray set that has a wooden top, those wooden tops were from a big installation she had at Hadler Rodriguez that she disassembled and used for 35 years in making pieces on a continual basis. So I have a great long history with many of these people. So, and it's wonderful to see Helen, Darcy, Larry Carroll. There's so many of my old friends. And my connection with the Renwick, again, was one of my great learning tools. And I had so many great memories working with Michael Monroe, Judy Wiseman. Bonnie's incredible parties that were part of the gala were quite incredible. I'm sorry, my breath is a little hard because I have trouble with the humidity sometimes breathing. So it's a little humid in Philadelphia, as everyone knows. One of the sad things that happened this year, along with the loss of many of our great friends, was the COVID. And we had this incredible fiber exhibition installed. And I know many of you know that that's been my passion for about 20, 25 years. So although we shut the doors the day it opened, the Textile Museum was supposed to be coming, and we had a big party planned. The show was one of the most successful shows I've had here in the last 8 years. sold from my apartment, sold sight unseen. And that's always an exciting thing. That means we were doing something properly and something people loved. So we decided to extend it through the summer, and John's show was brought in, and basically we put no closing or opening dates, and it's kind of the ebb and flow. I think it's the new norm. So we're open to the public. We're open Wednesday through Sunday, about 11 to 5 by appointment. And so if anyone's coming to Philadelphia and wants to see John, he's in the area, just give us a call. And that's the easiest way to see shows sometimes. Thank you so much to you guys for allowing us to do this. Jamie let us embed a video onto your site. So if you want to look, we have some special deals going on. But that was a very important thing for us as well, to show that we're here, we're open, and we're doing everything we can to support the craft world.
So I'm gonna actually just go through. Are you able to see? Is everyone able to see the PowerPoint here?
I lost you. Let's see.
No, that's fine. I think
we're looking at your email.
Oh, don't look at my email. Okay, I must have shared the wrong screen. Let me try one more time. And here we go. So I'm just gonna walk us through. Can you see it now?
That's perfect.
Yeah, good. Okay, I apologize. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and scroll us through some images, Bruce, that you sent along from the gallery.
Quickly, so this is actually, you're looking at where John's work is right now. So, and you can see when I see Helen's home, how much she has influenced my life. There's the Helen red and the grays. And so, that's always in the back of my head, how you show work and how you can make it look different in an altered environment. This was a show I did last year called, it's based on water, on the vessels, and a mixture of people. Jimmy Clark, one of the first directors of the Clay Studio, that piece on the right is the last piece Lillian Elliott did before she passed away. It's called Elbow, and it's one of the most beautiful structures. With Louis Canals, who is one of the great fiber artists of Philadelphia, taught it more. And the piece on the far left is John's ex-wife, Lindsay Gates. And the irony is there that that's the incestuous part of craft and Philadelphia, is that we're all related somehow, and it all comes back to you. So you got to be careful. But it's a wonderful thing. This was the wall we set up. The fiber show was supposed to be based on Salon, and this is how the work was installed. So it was this menagerie of many kinds of works, from embroidery, Marcia Doctor, Ann Nicholson, Kate Anderson's knotted piece, Carol Shin, Amy Orr, who's local, a small Leah Cook from many years ago, Patricia Malarche. There were over 50 artists in the exhibition. You have Pat Hickman's gut piece in the window, Sun Ramyun in the front, Lanny Bergner, and the wonderful Patricia Malarche, who was surface design. A Philadelphia quilter, Gary Spilka, who's been studying under Nancy Crow. And then you see in the distance, and again, everything from ceramic that is based in the textile genre, to coiling, to machine piecing, to Nancy Konigsberg's incredible wire diptych up top. This is me. This is my personality. I just love the visceral element of what textiles are. That's actually my sculpture on the back ledge below the incredible Polly Barton. Blanka Sperkova from the Czech Republic. These are her hanging forms with Lanny Bergner. And then the quilt is by Cynthia Friedman, who was one of the founders of Art Quilt Element. Joan Dreyer, who's now working with the Textile Museum. She was a graduate of MFA from Tyler, with a Leslie Ponce piece that's a promised gift to the Fuller Craft Museum. And then Jackie Rais has gone back to doing textiles. So the two framed pieces are Jackie Rais silk pieces. This was the window during the initial opening of the show. A little bit political, as I always am. Marcia Doctor's wonderful reaction to 9/11. The don't fuck with me, I have PMS and I'm armed, the Statue of Liberty. And then her an eye for an eye and soon the whole world's blind, phonetic Gandhi statement, with Amy Orr's appropriation of the Great Hope image that's all made out of cut credit cards. And then in the front is June Lee, a wonderful artist from Korea who has her master's from Cranbrook. This is a wide shot of the fiber show with some of the jewelry in the background. Again, the great Marilyn Pappas, the figurative piece on the right, is going into a show up at Harvard for a retrospective. The one interesting thing about many of these artists, within the textile world, there were about 8 or 10 working studio women that are 90 and above that were in this exhibition. And they work every day, and it's just a phenomenal, I think a phenomenal element of what the textile world represents. This is our current window installation, Donna Dalton. She's an incredible wood carver and painter, whimsical, has a faux quality. So this is her homage to Rousseau. And then this coming fall, our opening show, hopefully we'll be able to open and have people come and see and enjoy it. The wonderful Doug Hearn, who is in Philadelphia ceramic. These are constructed ceramic pieces from thrown forms, and then they're enamel paints, and they're incredibly massive and masculine and really beautiful structures. So that's a quick meander through the other part of our gallery.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much, Bruce. I know that was like a whirlwind tour, right?
Yeah.
This whole trip has been such a whirlwind tour. We've seen so many amazing things from Philadelphia. So true to life, I see people taking notes, I see people taking pictures, and we're also behind time, right? This is how the trips always end up happening. But of course, we love visiting the gallery. I sent a link, Emily just posted it in the chat as well. But before our tour today, Bruce actually created an entire catalog of works for sale that people can purchase. And there's also links to discounts to the Center for Art and Wood and the Clay Studio galleries. So if you missed that email, just search back through or check out the link right in the chat. That's probably the easiest bet. We're actually going to go now into a Q&A and break. So if people need to stretch their legs or if they have questions to the first half, I saw a lot of fabulous questions coming in, some of which we'll go ahead and email answers to. But if anybody wants to, turn their camera on and say hello or get up and grab yourself a drink, we will be taking a short break and coming back with a video from the Philadelphia Craft Show. So with that said, does anyone have questions from the first half or just want to say hello? I mean, I know Tim Tate is here and he cannot miss an opportunity to say hello. So is there anyone else that wants to say hi? We learned it's Mickey's birthday. She's here. So it's a birthday celebration trip.
Amy, and hi, it's Jerry Paulson.
Jerry.
I have a question for Bruce and say hello to everybody else on the line. Those hanging knitted forms in your gallery, can you talk a little bit more about those, please?
Were you talking to am I muted or unmuted? I'm not sure.
You're fine.
Okay, so there are 2 different or 3 different artists. If they're the organic forms, they're by Blanka Sparkova. She's from the Czech Republic. She's a jeweler and has been doing 3-dimensional sculpture, suspended sculpture for probably 40 years. The other pieces are Lanny Bergner, who was a grad student when I was undergrad at Tyler, who now lives out in Anacorna, Washington State, and to me, one of the great contemporary sculptors that transcend medium. Just one of the most delightful and wonderful people. Both are, in fact. So I like them together because one, they're both based in organisms or organic things, but Blanca's are always very fluid and kind of light and they have the Czech folk element to them. Where Lanny's are very much about matrix and structure, and they became somewhat a little deeper intent with the loss of his wife and this kind of rebirth using materials I'm lost for words right now. They're just his work has become very personal in the exploration of the form. And we have many, you can see many of the pieces on our site. We're rebuilding our website right now, so if you're not finding anything, please just give us a call or shoot us an email, and we can absolutely send images and history of the artist. We have a plethora of all that information. Not always easy to get out there on the internet with your website, so.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
So I have got another question that's for a number of different people, maybe Bruce or I think Clara might have had to step off the call. But the question is specifically about fiber art in collections. So she's, Eileen Dowdy is saying that she is seeing a lot of metal, wood, or ceramic in a lot of the collections we've seen today. And she's wondering if there's any hesitation about including fiber in collections. Do people have concerns about that? Or is it just something that we didn't have in our collections yet today?
I think it's something, I mean, Darcy Walker's on here. She could help you. Joan Johnson, I see, has one of the great historic collections of remarkable textiles. I think people are scared of textiles, but textiles, if you look in our history, we know more about civilization by the textiles that are left from hundreds and thousands of years ago. I mean, they're finding textile bags that are telling us what nomads ate because the materials are preserved within it. I think it's just learning how to handle something like the same with glass or jewelry or any other medium. Textiles will survive. You know, some are meant to be ephemeral, but most have an incredible resilience. So I think it's just an educational process. Camille Cook and Friends of Fiber, that was an incredible organization that did the most remarkable things for the textile and fiber community. And so does the Textile Museum and the Textile Museum in Santa Fe, which teaches the preservation and the restoration of textiles, all well worth visiting.
Is there
just to add to that a little bit, I work at Winterthur Museum. I'm the curator of ceramics and glass, but we have in the collection there, I would say over 30,000 textiles, some of which are going back to, and the bulk is going to be from the early 1600s to the mid 1900s. They're in great shape. You just show some common sense and don't leave them sitting in your brightest window, but they're marvelous and very enduring, as long as you use just a mild amount of care with them.
Thanks, Leslie.
And you'll see Leslie's work in my show here. There were a couple of the slides that were lost, but she does the most remarkable peyote stitched. Actually, hand me one quickly. I'm going to bring you over one of her pieces. So this is all beadwork. So I don't know if all of you are familiar with Joyce Scott, who does peyote stitch. This is peyote stitch glass beads. And you can see I'm handling it. You just have to be nice to these things. There's an answer for it.
Thanks, Bruce. Does anyone have other questions? No? Okay, well, I think we can all get up and stretch, and if anyone wants to say hello, please do. We're just gonna convene at, let's say in another 5 minutes because we're behind schedule. Does that work for everyone? So at 4:55, we'll be back.
Bruce Hoffman, what museum were you talking about in Santa Fe, please?
It's the Neutrogena and the drawing. It's right out of my head right now. It's down off of not up on Canyon Road, but down where the Neutrogena collection of the folk. So within that is it's a museum that was
International Folk Art Market.
Yeah.
International Folk Art
Museum. Yes, so it's there. It's a textile museum, and they actually have in the lower level a restoration area, and they deal with historic stuff as well. So the preservation of the indigo techniques around the world. You can see film, and they have the restoration room that you can look into, and there are drawers you can pull out that have old textiles that are being restored that are under glass. So it's a great experience.
And this is on Museum Hill at the
No,
book or something
you
different?
have to look in your directory, but it's right. It's leaving Santa Fe. It's not up Canyon Road. It's going out one of the side roads, and I can't think of the road right now.
I'm going to send you my email, and when you figure it out, I'm in Santa Fe, and I used to be a textile museum docent. So, and I've been a member of JRA the whole time, but I've moved from Washington.
Okay.
I'll send you my email.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll take care of it. Thank you.
I think Helen is trying to say something. Helen, it looks like you're still on mute.
Am I on mute now?
No, we can hear you now.
All right, can you hear me?
This woman.
All right. I wanted to address collecting textiles, though I did not show them. I have a collection of Lenore Tawney, Ted Holman, and Mary Biro and others. But in addition to that, my husband had an amazing collection of Peruvian textiles from 600 AD to 1100 AD, which we New York apartment and put into storage. And then
She disappeared. I want to ask something. We're going to ask. What museum she was a curator at? No, don't look her up. I'm not going to look that up myself. Just mute yourself.
I think we might have lost.
Helen.
Yeah.
Well, Helen was also a champion of some of the great textile artists in Philadelphia. Yvonne Bobowitz, who's in the show here, the late and great Deborah Warner, Louis Knaus, Michael Olszewski, Adela Akers, who's in my show. They're all legends, and these are all people that taught not just strictly textiles, but they influenced artists, young artists in many media, including me. I was a Tyler grad. We had Adela Akers there, Robert Winokur. John Clark created the glass department at Tyler. So I think it's, what the craft world has done for the fine art world is unmistakably one of the best influences on contemporary art. You look at what goes on in the Biennales now, Ellen Atzul, half of the Venice Biennale is textile-based material. So we're growing out of using the terms, the strict basic terminology, to materials, material studies, cultural studies. We're far and beyond just labeling something a specific medium. And I think the Renwick and what the Renwick has done, and something like Craft Now, that's what is happening, carrying on this legacy. The Renwick never, although glass collections were glass collectors, and when you went down there, it was this incredible, what I learned was you were welcomed by everyone, and the collections, no matter what they said, they transcended a medium. Because you walked into someone's house and they had a textile, or they had a wood bowl, or they had a ceramic piece because they saw it in someone else's collection and fell in love. And then we're able to connect to the material. And that's the growth of the craft world, that you evolve. As you see, you evolve. And so I try not to be so specific anymore with material like I was 10 years ago. You broaden that, and you bring it more to an allegorical theme rather than a material theme.